Fueled by Death guest.
Yeah, why don't we start with your musical influences? We talked a little bit about Queens of the Stone Age, but what got you into drumming? What bands do you think of when you're coming up with drum lines that you might want to reflect upon and kind of not necessarily mimic, but be inspired by?
Well, speaking of Queens of Stone Age, like that whole rabbit hole of bands like Tool, Perfect Circle, like that's what really got me like really juiced to play drums. I've always been a drummer. You know, I got my first kit when I was like 12 years old, so obviously I grew up with like the grunge movement, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden. But when I really took drumming seriously, it's when I moved on to those darker, kind of really heavy and deep bands like Tool and all that stuff. So
awesome. And you said you started drumming when you were 12, and you grew up in this area where we're in right
I grew up
now,
in
right?
Albany.
So how did you hook up and start with being in a band that is predominantly from Ohio?
It's a very long story. I'll try to keep it short.
All right.
Actually, we have time, but
Yeah, we talked about it.
Totally do.
I had started my own band in Charlotte because after I left Albany, I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
So right in the middle of high school, didn't want to go, hated it. You know, going from the north to the south. But immediately, I was asked to join this band. Turned out to be my best friends down there, and we ended up forming a band in college called Fusebox Poet.
Nice.
So Dave, who plays guitar in Red Sun Rising now, was the bassist in that band. So I kind of brought him on within the last couple of years. But we were just doing independent tours and you know, just playing shows wherever we could. And for some reason, we always could find shows and show swaps in Ohio, like Youngstown, Ohio, Akron, that area. So we're just coming through town one day. We had a day off. We're grilling hot dogs in the parking lot with our van. Had a nice like steel grill, and we're doing like brats and dogs. Walked in the Guitar Center just to grab some stuff, and Mike and Ryan, who started the band, worked there for years, and we just hit it off. And you know, we're playing for like 40 kids a night if we're lucky. And these guys are like, yeah, you know, we draw like 500 to 1,000 kids per show. We're like, we got to get your number. So,
Right. Yeah.
Sure enough, we kept in touch, became homies. I moved out to L.A. to kind of pursue, you know, that band Fusebox Poet broke up. I moved to L.A. to pursue my thing, and I was actually going out there to be an independent drummer. I didn't want to join a band. I wanted to just work for myself.
Yeah. Doing like sessions.
Doing session stuff and freelance stuff.
And like, how do you feel about touring versus the studio? I mean, do you see yourself more as a session basis or a touring basis?
Drummer.
Sorry.
You're the
I thought
bassist.
you said bassist. Hey, you want to start a band? That's all right.
I'll get it together
I
one
wish
day.
I was a bassist. No, it's all right. I'm definitely more of a touring drummer. I have a lot more experience with that, but there's something about being in the studio that I absolutely love. And the grass is always greener. Like we just got out of the studio, and it was like a magical moment. I felt like we just went to like therapy for a few months.
Yeah.
As an individual and as a band, it was like a creative release. So it's all about having a balance of the two. I see myself as I get older, you know, when I'm 50, 60, maybe I can ease into the studio work stuff and just record in a home studio in my backyard and be home every day and have a couple of dogs, whatever.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But
Yeah.
for right now, it's
American
all
dream.
it's the American dream. Right now, it's all the grind and nonstop touring, and just that's just such a part of my routine right now.
But the grind itself is awesome. I mean, that's as far as myself, that's what I strive for in life. I love the path of struggle.
Yeah.
You know, and that's fun, especially like the road can be struggle.
So
but
brutal.
man, I bet when you come out of it, you feel like a warrior.
Yeah, it's been, you know, we pretty much toured for 2 years straight, like 2.5 years nonstop.
Wow.
We're on a break right now.
How's that feel after 2 years?
The first couple months, like I was just in a hole. I didn't want to leave the room. I'd close the door, lock the door. I didn't
Because
leave. Like,
the thing about a tour is that you're not really by yourself
never.
too often.
No privacy.
Yeah, that's insane. So I bet that's like shut yourself in a room.
It's been
Please
nice,
don't
but
talk
now,
to me.
like, you know, now that it's been, you know, 3-4 months, I'm like, let's go on tour. Like, what? I'm just
Right.
I'm like antsy now. Like,
Getting
all right,
restless.
guys, you know, me and the guys in the band are on the phone almost every day. It's like just talking and shooting the breeze and just getting everything moving because you know, start to miss each other a little bit, and you know, we're just ready to take this thing to the next level and go out for the next round. So.
Do you know how long you're going out for the next round? Do you have any ideas? It could be another 2 years.
It's probably going to be just another solid grind. But, you know, the first touring cycle was our very first album, so we couldn't really be selective. We took any show we can get, not any show, but any tour pretty much that made sense. You know, it was better to get our feet in the door and just get out there. So now we're going to be a little smarter with our, you know, how much we're touring, you know, quality versus quantity kind of thing.
Yep.
But it's going to be a long cycle. It's already shaping up. I mean, our schedule right now is like through the fall. Most of these dates aren't announced yet, but we do all the big festivals in the U.S. and
Right.
it's just like because we've been off, the work's just kind of piling in. The shows are piling in.
Yeah.
The opportunities. So
Yeah.
That's a good problem. To
it's a
have.
good problem to
Yeah.
have. So the longer we're out, the better. You know,
Yeah.
that means something's going well. So
I've heard you say before that, especially with drumming with this band, that you have found the way that you personally and your skill set kind of fit in to the music. And I wanted you to speak a little bit about that because I thought that was interesting, especially with Red Sun Rising, because it is such an eclectic sound. Did you find by joining this band that it completely changed your way of playing?
I wouldn't say it changed my way of playing. It's just if you like married all my favorite bands into one, that's what my band sounds like right now, and that's like the coolest thing because
awesome.
we all have the same core, like what I said earlier, like. We all grew up with the grunge movement. We all have a classic rock background. We all listen to soul music, and like we listen to such a broad range of music that we're all on the same page 90% of the time. But yeah, I feel like I'm just playing for all my favorite bands melted into one, and it's just like I just kind of know what to do. Like I know how to mesh my drum part with that guitar part, and we're all on the same page.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So it's very exciting.
So I've seen a few videos of you guys playing live, and undoubtedly you're all very incredibly tight and you can tell very well practiced. But I'm just curious for my own sake, do you play to a click track?
Yeah, just clicks.
Because I don't see a way of getting that tight without
Yeah.
having some sort of click track.
You see some bands like Smashing Pumpkins, like Jimmy Chamberlain, their drummer, like they never played to a click, only in the
that's
studio.
incredible.
And you listen to it, and it's just like, what the hell?
But do you
Yeah.
think he probably when he was practicing, he probably had a click?
Yeah,
in
I'm
his
sure he
ear,
learned to
you
play
know?
to it. But then, the more advanced timing stuff that happens in like a lot of like Motown music and stuff too is like the
Right.
push and pull. Like when you can control that,
Yeah.
or even you could still find that, while you're playing with a click. But yeah, we're on a click, but we're kind of like completely against like backing tracks and everything. We really have an old school model. We're not with the times where we have Ableton running and the drummers hitting spacebar on the computer,
Right.
and starting the track. Like we're on a click, but that's it.
Yeah,
It's all
maybe
instruments.
I feel like that forces you to find more creative ways to use your instrument if you want
course.
to make cool creative sounds at a live show.
Of course, and plus, you have to, whatever you record on the record, you have to be able to play live.
Yep.
If you have tracks, that's not true. You can just throw a bunch of crap in there, and so
Yeah.
Did you get used to playing like with a click track, like when you were pursuing being a session drummer, or was it just with this band?
Yeah. And I've done that stuff. The Ableton stuff, going on tour with an artist and pressing the space bar and playing to a track. And if you get off one beat, the entire track. I mean, there's no room for error.
Yeah. That's a rough life, but I mean, it's refreshing to see a band like you guys have so much fun with your sound, but also be as tight as you are.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, really, really awesome. And I mean, your first record, it did really well on the charts. You had a couple
You guys
singles.
had 2 hits off that, right?
Yeah, a couple
We had
singles that
2
were-
#1 Billboard Active Rock
That's
singles.
incredible.
Which is,
How good did that feel?
it's pretty amazing, and it's just crazy when you see that, and it's crazy just to even see yourself in the top 20 with like Metallica and like these guys you looked up to. Like we're kind of peers with them now, and not with Metallica, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
We're in the same genre of bands, and we're in the same battle together, and it's like just to find that acknowledgement is unreal.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So
So cool.
Are there any differences? You got that record that did great, and now you were saying you just got out of the studio. You guys are poised to release your second record.
Do you have a date on the release yet?
yeah, but I don't think I could say it yet. It's coming out.
Sure you can.
March-ish. Somewhere in March-ish. March-ish.
Soon.
Yeah.
Soon.
Nice.
That's good. That's good. Is there any or either a lot or less different from this record to the first record? Because as if people out there of our fan base don't know, this is the first record that Red Sun Rising as a group you guys are going to be on a record.
Correct.
Because the first was predominantly your 2 OGs basically.
It was the OGs, yep, Mike and Ryan.
Mike and Ryan,
And some studio cats.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and so this is the first one with the full band. So is there a lot of difference to it?
I think it's a lot more interesting, and it's a lot more colorful. For example, like we're adding some keyboard textures. My bass player Ricky, he's like a classically trained piano player.
Awesome.
You're not going to hear like some Dream Theater pianos, but there's like some really nice like background keyboard stuff here and there.
Why not utilize it if he's
Why
got the
not?
talent,
Yeah,
right?
so,
Yeah.
And plus, you go on tour with these guys for 2.5 years straight and play every single night. It's like we just form this bond musically, and I think it's just a natural progression of the band. I think this album is a little bit riskier and a lot more interesting.
Cool.
But it's Red Sun Rising. It's the record's called Thread, and it's kind of like something that we stand for. Our hashtag is We Are Thread. We're always pushing that out there. It's like not being afraid to mix all these different crazy influences, anything from, like I said, soul music to grunge to rock, classic rock. It's kind of like an anti-genre of just blend everything that makes you and just put it out there instead of being caught up in like, oh, we have to be heavy metal or we have to be this genre.
I love that mentality. I've been in actual bands that have that same mentality, and it's a very freeing mentality, especially as a musician. But you guys are on an international stage now, and you're signed to a label, and you're working with incredible producers. Is there pushback on that? Do you have people coming to you and being like, no, you should stop doing what you're doing and fit in this
No,
your
because
peg in this hole kind of
I
thing?
kind of think that's why our band stood out to begin with. With the earlier singles was because rock radio has really changed, and it's very stagnant and very like everybody kind of just plays by the rules nowadays.
Yeah.
Everybody's scared to take a risk, and we came out. The first single has like a '90s grungy Alice in Chainsy kind of vibe, and like people are like, "Whoa, what is this?" We're just being ourselves. So there's been no backlash. The second album we probably had like 30 or 40 songs that we were able to pick through. Our favorite 12 or 13.
Great.
And so yeah, having that many songs and that many choices to choose from was more than enough to work with.
So speaking on backlash, you guys recently came out with a Alanis Morissette cover, Uninvited, right?
Oh yeah, I wanted
Which
to
is
talk about this.
awesome, by the way. It
Very
sounded very cool. I didn't recognize it as an Alanis Morissette song at first.
Cool.
And I
I
was
like
like, oh, okay, now I recognize it. But you guys did an amazing job. Anyways, you guys have a video for that, which I looked up, and it was like, you sure you want to watch this?
Yeah.
Are you at least 18 years old? And
Be
I'm like,
careful, boobs ahead.
Yes.
yeah, pretty much. Which is great to see you guys pushing the envelope. Have you caught any backlash for having nudity in your music video?
I don't think so at all. A few
Not yet,
people
not
complain,
until we
but
brought it up.
most people are like, "Wow, this is awesome!"
Yeah.
The comments. If you go down and read the comments, people definitely acknowledge it. But it's getting people talking about it, and again, it's showing that we're not afraid to take a risk. And
And it's not needless either. It's a creative video, and the nudity is part of the
Sure.
creativity in that story that you're making in that video, which I think is amazing.
Well, actually, our good friend Brad Gollowin, that's like he edited that from one of his short films. It just fit perfectly with the song and the message. And he did two new music videos that are coming out. He's been like our film guy. He's coming to Europe with us.
Oh, cool.
So we have like a little thing going with him, and it was just a perfect matchup. And he just cut it to fit the song a little better.
And I've complained about recent music videos released by bands because I feel like nobody's really being as creative as they should now. We live in a video-based
Society.
Yeah. or social group at this point, and the viral video is the thing that really launches people into the into this weird next level. And I see a lot of bands not even taking advantage of that. We were talking about Metallica a little bit earlier. They came out with I forgot what song it was.
It was
The
one of
first
their
single.
newest. It was one of their newest singles, and
With
the
the light
video.
bulb?
Yeah, and the video is just the light bulb of them playing, and it's like we've seen that for 30 years. We don't need
Don't they have a little
bit
bankroll to be
more
creative?
I hope
than
so.
that?
I
Like,
hope so.
Man. So do you guys try to focus on making creative videos to go along with your music?
I mean, I think it has a lot to do with like being tight and being close friends with somebody who's first of all been on tour with us, but he's super. Brad's super talented, and he just kind of has these images, and he's got an idea before the song's even done. He actually came to the studio for us for the entire.
That's really cool.
like,
Excellent.
almost the entire time.
So he's there sitting there listening to you play, listen to you create, coming up with ideas for the next
he's there
music
from the
video.
beginning. Even like we rented a cabin in Illinois for like 3 weeks, and we just got like snowed in and just made music for 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
To do just to get our initial batch of songs recorded and tracked, and he was there for that whole thing. Like he's not coming for 3 days. He's coming for like 3 weeks. So he might know the record better than we do. Like he's been there from the very
He's
beginning.
not sick of it yet.
I'm sure he is. I know I am, but
Yeah, that happens when you record, though. You quickly get sick of your own music because you're literally listening to it for thousands of times.
every
It's-
day.
It gets a little bit numbing after a while, and it's
Definitely
hard to
does.
even listen to what the song sounds like anymore. It gets tough, and that's why I've always been against musicians mixing their own music because you need that line of separation.
Yeah,
and
give me a break from it for a little bit. With
Yeah.
a fresh ear. It's hard
Yeah.
to find, man.
What's your writing process like with the band? Is it a full on effort from everyone, or is it in parts? Or?
Yeah, well, we kind of had to find that on this record too. That's another reason why we locked ourselves up in a cabin for 3 weeks because we didn't want to. So basically, Mike and Ryan are the main songwriters, and they've been doing this together for 10 years. So
Right.
we don't want to just throw 3 guys in the mix and potentially taint what they have working. What they have going on. So we just kind of got in a room a lot, and usually Mike or Ryan comes forward with a sketch. They write on acoustic guitars, and the whole thing is if you can make a song sound good with vocals and an acoustic guitar,
Right.
nothing fancy, no crazy bass drops or any of that stuff. If you can write an actual song that speaks to people on just the guitar and your vocal,
the foundation.
the foundation's got to be there. So usually those guys come to us. We'll get in a room together, and usually Mike will say, "I have this song, 60% complete, 70% complete," and we'll just hash it out and just get a feel for each other. And again, it's kind of like we kind of read each other's minds nowadays because we've played together every single night for 2.5 years as a 5-piece band. So yeah, everybody's involved. Ricky writes piano parts, Ricky writes guitar parts, Dave writes guitar parts. I'm just a drummer, but
There should be more drum solos here.
yeah. Do we do a solo here, guys? Double bass section here?
That's awesome.
And speaking of the tour life, you guys, do, like you said, you were on the road for 2 years. You've done a lot of shows all over. Plus, you do a lot of the festival circuit.
Yep.
Do you like one more than the other? Do you like
Yes.
doing a festival more than a
Rocking the range.
Yeah?
It's like
there
kind
it
of a
is.
home. The band's from Akron, Ohio, so that turns into like a little hometown thing for us. And we played it 2 years ago. Mike came out with the Ohio flag.
Oh,
We were-
cool.
And
Nice.
people went crazy.
Yeah.
And, that's obviously the epicenter of the band. That's where our buzz is the strongest because that's where those guys grew up. And
The Midwest has an incredible fan base for rock music.
Yeah.
And they show up to shows. I don't really know what that is. Do you know what that is?
it's gray. It's pretty gray up there.
Yeah.
It's gray and
It's
flat.
gray in
There's
Albany,
not much. Yeah.
It's just not much to do, so people will actually go out
yeah.
to rock and roll shows.
Something
instead of
about it.
sitting
You're
at
definitely
home.
right. Like Michigan, Ohio, that's kind of where we really have grown the fastest in the U.S.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit harder. You go out west, and people are more opinionated, and you go to the
Right.
big cities, like you go to New York City and Chicago. Everybody's too cool. Like the Midwest, everybody just wants to rock out and drink beer, and it's just like, all right, we can do that.
I'm
for
down.
You guys.
Yeah.
Sign me
Super
up.
down.
We'll be that band for you, sure.
And you guys are on a break right now, but when you're gonna go right back at it, and you're doing Shiprocked, right,
Yep.
for the second time.
Yep.
What's it like playing rock music in the middle of the ocean?
Well, actually, last year we were supposed to play on the main deck, and there was like a huge storm, and so they canceled our show. I moved it to the downstairs room.
Good.
But dude, it's just an unbelievable experience. People are just going crazy the entire time. You're stuck on the boat with these people. You're stuck on the boat with all your favorite bands, and people just light up. There's no limit to how much fun you can have on there. It just turns into a complete shit show.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's incredible because we were looking it up actually, and you're going to be out there with a bunch of friends of this show
Alumni.
as well. Father Zach there with Black Label
Yep.
Society is going to be there.
Did you say A Perfect Circle was going to be on?
No, they're
Oh.
actually playing another festival with a Perfect Circle, but this one has our good friends from another podcast, Legion of Skanks, is going to be there with Luis Gomez, so
all right.
they'll
All
be
right.
partying
Yeah,
with
Keep
say
an
hi
eye
to
out.
them
Keep
for
an eye
us,
out for
yeah.
these
Yeah,
guys.
but you guys are
Send 'em
playing
my way.
another. You guys are playing another festival in, I believe, May called Rocklahoma, right? And you guys
yep.
are gonna
Guess
play
where that is?
Yeah, in Oklahoma. Uh-huh.
Amazing how that works.
But yeah, Perfect Circle's on that. You were saying that that's an influence of yours too.
Yeah,
so
yes.
and you can tell. I would say I could pick up a lot of Josh Freese in your drumming.
He's my absolute favorite drummer.
He's
him
my
and Danny
absolute
Carey.
favorite drummer.
I mean,
him and Joey Castillo are
yeah,
like
Joey's the man.
top 2 drummers
Yeah.
in my life. Josh Freese is that very calculated, very unorthodox style of playing that he leaves space for everything else, yet knows when to chime. I'm getting chills talking about
Yeah.
him because, some 13th Step was just next level drumming. The drumming in that album like really changed my idea of approach to music. But Joey Castillo is just a beast. He's like the
mode.
other side of the coin where it's like pretty straightforward, big, busy fills and just powerful, slamming everything
Huge
like,
cymbals,
like a
just
gorilla.
like,
Just like, ugh. And that I remember the first time I fell in love with Queens of the Stone Age. See, I think it was like Mad TV. And I was like, that's not Dave Grohl drumming there.
Yeah.
That's Joey Castillo all jacked to shit. He was so big then. I was like, that's some next level drumming. But I would say I could hear those two drummers in your drumming like right away. And I think that's why, like when I heard you were coming, I was like, all right, do my research. And it wasn't hard because I fell in love with your band almost
Awesome, man.
immediately.
Appreciate that.
Like definitely picked up your drumming style real quick. It's very cool.
Well, I used to make a joke like before I moved to LA. I said I wanted to be the Josh Freese of the East.
Nice.
He's
like
the
that.
West Coast guy.
Yeah, nice.
I want to be getting all the gigs and playing all the cool opportunities on the East Coast. But
Yeah.
I actually got to meet him one time accidentally. I was working. I was doing this rehearsal thing at the Columbia Records building in Hollywood, and I'm sitting in the waiting room waiting for the call to go upstairs, and I hear Josh Freese, Studio A, and I'm like, so he's checking in to go do a session. So I stood up and I went up to him and said, "I love your work, man." He was like surprised that I recognized him. It seemed like it was kind of weird. It's just like, oh yeah, thanks, man.
Because he's not necessarily tied to any specific group, right? I mean,
Right.
he's not even in a perfect
He's
circle
pretty
anymore.
underground if you really
Yeah.
think about the number of recordings he's played on and the caliber of bands that he's recorded for. Like,
Yeah.
he's not a household face that you're just gonna recognize.
Right. Yeah.
And he should be.
He should be. He's my favorite drummer. So
He's a sorcerer.
he's a sorcerer,
He really is.
a wizard.
So through it all, through the ups and downs of being in bands before finding this incredible band that you're in now, and now touring all over the place, festival shows, everywhere else, what fuels you to keep getting up there, getting behind the kit, and keep going?
Honestly, I've been, poured my entire life into this, and I've never had a backup plan. This is my complete passion. I've been doing this since I was a baby, before I could even walk or talk. It just seems normal to me. I've never really questioned it. Back in the day, I don't know who said this. I think it might have been Adam Levine. He talks about how like the false opportunities that you thought might happen that were never going to happen. Those are what kind of keep you going. Like I can't tell you how many times I'm playing a show and I think my guitar player was saying, "Oh, this A&R guy's coming out," and we rehearsed for 3 weeks and think this guy's coming out and he doesn't come out.
Yeah.
Right.
There's all these opportunities and all these little stepping stones that just kind of like give you that push, and then that doesn't work out, and then you just keep going. It's just, for me, it's what I've always been doing. So
Awesome.
I don't
So
know.
you mentioned no backup plan. Do you think? I mean, I've heard people say like, "Don't have a backup plan.
Yeah.
Just leave yourself strong out there." Do you believe in that mentality?
I kind of live by it because
Yeah.
if I had a backup plan, I can't tell you how many times I would have resorted to it. Just because
It's probably why I'm not playing too much music.
you got a
nowadays.
pretty sweet gig though, man.
Yeah, I know it doesn't suck.
Want to
one
trade
way
for
or
a
the
few
other.
weeks when I get
Yes.
tired?
Yes.
You play bass, though. You got the wrong instrument.
There we go. It's done. You heard it here first.
Yikes!
Ricky, you're out for a few weeks, bro.
Oh no. When you're not devoting your life and time to drums, what else? What gets you going? What do you like? Do you have any like dusty,
stamp collector?
nerdy hobbies that you like?
I'm a
or-
total nerd.
Yeah.
It's completely. I mean, I grew up. I played so many video games, and that's kind of what's cool about like the fact that I can kind of technically still play them without being a loser. You're on a tour bus for 8 hours. I'm gonna play
Right.
some video games. Like,
Yes.
Yes.
I can justify it.
Yep.
No one's gonna see me. I'm in the back of the bus playing PS3 or whatever.
Yeah,
That's
it makes the
awesome.
time go by quick.
Do you gravitate towards newer games, or are you still live in the realm
I'm
of like
stuck in the old
stuff?
school
Yeah.
like
Oh, nice.
RPG games. Like I grew up with Final Fantasy games.
That's what I played on too.
Yay!
I played Final Fantasy 3 on my
got it on my
tablet the
phone
whole
right now.
time.
So-
Oh my god.
Did we just become best friends?
What's funny about the Final Fantasy stuff is like when I lived in Charlotte, I lived in LA. Like nobody's hip to the Final Fantasy, and all my Albany friends, all my New York friends, that's what we did. We
Oh my
got
God,
together and
yeah.
played Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
I have it on my phone now too,
Yeah.
actually. So yeah.
So video
100%.
games, I read a lot of cheesy Stephen King books. Love
I
sports.
love cheesy Stephen
I
King
love them
books,
too.
so they're great. Any particular one that
My
brings out
favorite's
to you?
I don't know if you've ever read this one. It's called Insomnia.
I knew you were gonna say it. We are best friends. Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I
It
gotta
is such
say
a good book.
The audiobook version of that is really great because whenever the demons show up, it starts playing this creepy music for the audiobook, and
I'm
it's
gonna
just
have to download that.
yeah, it's so
Yeah.
good. And the narrator, I think I'm trying to think of his name, but he's great narrator. So yeah, that's great audiobook.
What a cool story.
Hands down, and it's funny, I wasn't into audiobooks until Dustin got me into them.
Sick in
Good man.
audiobooks.
Same thing with podcasts. Like,
Yeah.
honestly,
Yeah.
like I wasn't even into a podcast until Dustin got me into podcasts.
I need to be distracted. All
And
the times.
I hear you.
but I started getting into audiobooks, and again, big Stephen King fan. So, I was like, okay, I'll start listening to stuff that I know. Hands down, 95% of his material is some of the best audio acted stuff out there. They get the best people behind it.
Yeah,
They
it's
really
usually
do.
they had I can't remember the name of the first narrator, but he actually got in a motorcycle accident and can't really speak right
Yikes.
anymore,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But most of it's done by George Gordell.
Gordell, yeah.
and he does a great job, except for with the Gunslinger series. He came out with a book after he was done. It's like 4.5, right? And he narrated it himself, and I've never been able to listen to
No.
it. He's like, Roland Sheen
Yeah.
pulls his gun out from his holster. And it's like,
I'm
no,
out.
done.
Pause.
We're done.
Back to Stephen King.
Stephen King's a great writer, but he's the ultimate nerd. As soon as you hear him talk, it's just
Yeah.
like, oh,
my
dude.
God.
It's like, how did that nerdy guy come up with such creepy, horrible, gritty, nasty stories?
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's
So my guys make fun of me too, because like, I finished reading the book It. Obviously, I read that like last year, and it took me forever because
It's huge.
It's like this
Yeah.
big. My monitor guy Kevin actually passed it off to me, and they're like, "Are you actually reading this, or are you just?" Because I would just carry it around everywhere we go for like 6 months. Finish that damn book, dude.
Yeah.
And then I finally did.
You put it in front of your kick drum so it doesn't go anywhere.
There's like pictures of me backstage, like, dude, I could find a lot of stuff. There's a whole vault of the It time,
That's-
the It touring period.
How'd you feel about the movie? Did you catch it yet?
I did see it. I can go on and on about this. I really did enjoy it. It was a lot of fun to watch, but I don't know.
How can you capture that giant book in a movie, though?
Yeah.
I kind of don't like that the first movie was just the kids. Like,
Yeah.
That they split it like
I don't
that,
really like
yeah.
that split because I feel like there's so much, like a lot of deeper stuff that happens. I'm sure they'll catch it in the second
Yeah.
movie, but it made the first half of the movie seem a little bit dull or seem a little bit. It wasn't as interesting as I'd like it to be compared to the story that I know.
Yeah.
that it
I
exists.
agree. I mean, the original movie that, still left a lot out of the book, but
Yeah.
you get those moments when you see something happen to the kids and then it flashes forward or vice
what I'm
versa.
saying, yeah.
Yeah.
And it makes it that much more emotionally
Yeah.
heart-wrenching because it's like, oh man, this guy, I just watched him go through this like 30 years ago and like now he's still dealing with it mentally or vice versa, and it's like,
So maybe
I agree with you.
Maybe the second half will really capitalize on that. And the second half will be like a mind-blowing emotional roller coaster thing. But
yeah, maybe.
and it was great. I really enjoyed it. And speaking of my monitor guy Kevin, him and I went to see that before we flew out to Europe, like when it first came out. So we geeked out and had a little
Nice.
bro date, and
Awesome.
Nice.
we both read the book and have to go see the movie together, obviously. So
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice. So back to the band.
Yep.
Why?
Why?
We went off on this.
Let's stay on
tangent.
this.
I love it. Where do you see Red Sun Rising going in the next 3 to 5 years? What do you see happening?
So, our biggest goals right now really have to do with being a headlining act. We've been on the opening circuit, playing huge shows, playing for 8,000, 10,000 people, whatever, like playing all the festivals. But we really want to establish our headlining. This is our show. Here's 2 hours of music. We're picking the opening bands, really having control, of even stuff like what songs play between bands. Like, just really building up the headlining crowd and giving our fan base more than just a 30-minute opening set.
Right,
And
right.
seeing where that takes us. We have all this new material. We have a lot of great tunes from the first record, and when we have time to really explore that and really make a cool set list and a really cool flowing show.
So is that something you have a good plan for? Do you just bite the bullet and maybe play to a smaller crowd at first, knowing that you're building yourself up? Yeah. So
Yeah,
you
so-
just kind of deal with it.
Starting whenever I don't want to say too much because we haven't really released a lot of stuff, but that's kind of our first step out the door. After we do a couple festivals, we're doing like 3 shows with the band Stone Sour in the Midwest. Speaking of the Midwest, and then we're gonna start on this journey of we're gonna play some smaller venues. Let's try to sell them out.
Yep.
Let's play a 300, 500 cap room and sell it out versus trying to jump into a 1,200 cap room. And
But those are fun shows when you get like 200 people packed.
That's
in
the
there.
most fun, and I actually kind of miss that too. Like I love playing the the rundown, grimy, the clubs that I grew up playing. You know,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we know that.
The places in my heart for those.
I miss
clubs,
that smell.
for
That's
sure.
so
yeah.
intimate,
smell right now.
though.
Yep.
You know, you miss that when you
Oh, you can.
beer,
You can. You can
piss.
just stale beer and piss. It's just
Yeah.
right there. I
Yeah.
can totally smell it.
yeah.
It's a taste too. You can actually taste it.
In the
It's
back
so
of your
strong.
throat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Oh, that's with anything, you know, you guys are going to put the work in, you're going to be smart about it, you know, and the sky's the limit for you guys. I really believe it.
Is there any particular place you like to play? Any particular area? Maybe an area that you haven't played that you're curious about?
you know, I want to get out to Japan again. We got to play in Japan.
How was that?
It was amazing. But we were actually on a USO Air Force base, so
cool.
Okay.
playing for the soldiers and
Right.
the troops. That was amazing. Those guys were so pumped up, and they were like thanking us left and right. We're like, "Thank you for having us here." What do you mean?
Right.
Thank?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I want to actually play in Japan. I mean, play like the Japanese crowds. 'Cause
Yeah.
I've always heard they're the most rabid fans.
That's what we hear too. It's just
Did you get to wander around Japan at all
We
while you
did.
were there?
We sure did. We were there for like 5 days. We only had to play. We played a festival. It was like all the bands from my high school. It was like POD, Trapped. Like it was like this nostalgic Sick Puppies. And we were just right in the middle of that. It's like this is a complete blur, and everybody's just so excited in the crowd. And these guys are, you know, they're serving the country, and they want to let their hair down and do some headbanging.
So you want to hit Japan again?
Want to hit Japan.
Actually play to the Japanese people.
Play to those people. Yep, I can't wait for that. We'll
That's
see.
awesome.
We'll see when that'll happen. And it's cool. It's cool, you know, playing our hometowns. Like 3 of the guys are from Akron, Ohio. My guitar player Dave is from a small town called Bradford, Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. I'm from Albany, of course. So we kind of consider like our hometowns. We have 3 of them. So anytime our band goes to one of those 3 towns, it's gonna be crazy.
Awesome.
It's all
Do you
friends
plan
from high
on
school.
coming
was
to
just
this
gonna
area
ask
on
that.
tour?
I'm sure we will. I'm not really sure when. You know, I can't really say much about the exact dates and cities yet. 'Cause
Right,
It's still in progress. But last time we were here in February, we played that new venue. We played Jupiter Hall in Albany, and
cool.
Oh, nice,
sold
yeah.
that out, and it was a blast. You know,
Is that the one we played, Jeff?
Yeah, we played Jupiter right as it opened.
Is that the
Yeah.
one with the bowling alley
Yep.
and stuff?
Yeah.
so that was
That's a fun gig.
huge arcade. Like
Yeah.
speaking of video games, like all
Yeah.
right guys,
Yeah.
let me know when you need me. I'm gonna. Be
I
over
like
here.
that gig.
Yeah.
That's a good room too. They actually,
was cool. Good
you know,
size.
yeah. I forgot about that place. They
Yeah.
should have more shows there.
Yeah, they should.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sure you know we have to come back. It's the hometown.
So there's
for
always
me,
good
so.
turnouts when you go to hometown.
Yeah, it's always
places.
fun,
you get
man.
to see old friends, it's almost like reunion time.
It's a
and-
crazy thing, you know, family coming out and friends I haven't seen since like 4th grade. Like, yo, I just saw you're playing here. Like, you want a ticket? Yeah, come on out, man.
That's so cool. That's cool. But you know, when you come back to this area, you know, let us know.
We'll be
We'll
there.
give the whole band
got-
the tour. We'll
Yeah.
shower you guys in coffee
Shower us
beans.
too?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, coffee beans, right? We're gonna need a shower too.
There's a
though.
sink in the bathroom.
Yeah,
and-
there's a sink in the bathroom.
Let's do both.
We have like an emergency eye watering station in case anybody gets chemical
You might
burns.
need
you
that.
can shower on that.
All right, we'll try that.
Well, we're really excited about the new record. It's coming out soon, like you said, and I know it's very easy to follow the band all over social media. It's Red Sun Rising pretty much anywhere. In fact, I was just seeing on your Instagram, which also is on pretty much all of your social media now. You guys are giving little teasers,
yep.
which is
Nice.
really nice. I like
Nice.
that.
Do you feel teased right now?
I do. I
Okay.
do.
It worked?
Good. It
All right.
totally worked.
Doesn't he look teased?
yeah. Whoa.
But for our listeners out there, do you social media? Is there ways to follow you specifically? As
Yeah.
well?
You know, we're all on Instagram and Facebook and all that as individuals. You can actually go to our page and you can go to our Instagram page, and I'm pretty sure they have all the names on there. But
Nice.
my Instagram handle is @Gerasia_drums. So I'm always collecting followers. Anybody's welcome to hop on board.
Excellent.
Nice.
I'll put that.
I got to
up right
get you
here,
guys too.
actually.
You guys
Yeah.
have individuals?
Yeah,
Yep, of
yeah,
course.
yeah,
So-
yeah. I'll put that up right
Death
there.
Wish Dustin and Jeff Wish Coffee.
Jeff Wish.
Jeff-
Jeff Wish. I can't even say it. That's a
Super
tongue
easy.
tie.
Yep.
Awesome, man. I can't thank you enough.
Wait,
for-
I have one more question.
Oh, okay.
You
I
think we're
can
gonna
thank
see-
you enough.
Do you think we're gonna see another Tool album this year?
I sure hope. Seeing all these festivals around, they got to be promoting
Gotta
something,
be
right?
Maybe, but they've been playing festivals for a while. You know.
I feel like it's the last 3 years they've been keeping us on a like a fishing line. But honestly, if you go back to every Tool album release, that's exactly the way that they've done it.
They're smart. They're breaking the mold. They're making you want it, and you're gonna want it so bad that people are gonna go out and they're gonna buy the CD because they're not on Spotify.
It's funny. Everybody's like, I'm fucking sick of them like putting it up and up, but you're gonna buy
They're-
the album.
Yeah,
when
they're
it
not
comes
that
out.
bad. Yeah, those are the guys that are gonna buy like 3 copies.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Talking trash on the internet and everything, but those guys are the most excited to the fact they're actually upset that Tool doesn't have a record out.
Yeah, exactly. He's
So-
too busy making wine and shit. But
Yeah.
who
I'm
cares?
reading
It's
his
a good
book right
wine.
now too. He's got a book that just came out. His
Oh,
biography's
nice.
out.
Nice. He's a
Was in the middle
strange
of that.
guy.
He's a character. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
very
cool to get some of the background information on him. But yeah, that's another book I'm reading aside from Stephen King. I
Nice.
try to read some other books.
Nice.
Here and there.
All right, Jeff. Now you can't thank him enough.
Now I can't thank you enough. Jeez, no.
I
it's
can't
for-
thank you enough.
For real though, I mean, it's so interesting that we live in this area because you never know who's from this area, and just being able to connect with you and have you come to HQ and be on the show is just awesome,
Dude,
man.
I had a blast. Thanks for showing me around back here, and we're homies now, so we'll be hanging out.
Hell yeah. Awesome, man.
Awesome, man. Thanks so much.
Thank
Cool.
you very much.
All right, guys.
Can you give me one more?
Sounds pretty good, actually.
It sounded like shit every time I play it. Because you're not a drummer.
I'm not a drummer. You're darn right.
Thanks, man.
I've been doing this for years, so just playing on dumb shit whenever I can.
I love it. I love it.
This has been Fueled by Deathcast, a Death Wish Coffee Company podcast production. Thanks for listening.